So this is a bit of a cheap shot, but so let me just start with the main question on the slide. Why do we need to do a randomized control trial to look at the impact of microfinance?
You could try to look for a natural experiment.
Good, but let's say something simpler. What else would people? What was the movie doing? Yeah.
Going to people and asking them how has it changed your life, and just basically stories of people.
And what's wrong with that?
Because, well, you're getting a very small sample of the impact that microfinance.
Is it small or is it worse than small?
It's very wide.
It's very selective. You're taking people so it's selected in two ways. One is that, of course, the movie is selecting people who are very happy with microfinance. That's selection one. Selection two, imagine that I went and I took the average borrower and I looked at what happened to the average borrower over the last 2 years. The loan, she got her first loan 2 years ago, and I asked her, how much richer are you than 2 years ago? Would that be a good way to answer the question? No? Why not?
Because it sort of implies the answer that you're looking for. A better thing would be to say how much money did you have then, or how much money.
Fine. Well, would that be good enough? If you just ask them how much money they had now and how much the money they had 2 years ago, would you learn the answer by doing that? No?
I think it's better to ask at the actual time, so asking at the beginning and finding out what they have then, rather than.
Suppose you did that, would that be credible evidence for microfinance? We went to them 2 years, when they first get the loan, before they get the loan, you ask them how much money they're making, then you come back 2 years later.
I think if you have a large enough sample size, the difference could be probably be significant.
Do you agree?
Not entirely. I think maybe it correlates, but it doesn't really show that it caused the increase in money. You just know that they had access to microcredit and they had more money. You don't know whether it actually, the microcredit led to the increase in money.
Why don't you know?
Because you don't know, you haven't really considered what else.
Exactly. What you don't know is what else could have happened to the same person. So this is someone who you know that she had 100 before and now has 150. You know also she got a loan. You don't know what would have happened to her if she hadn't got the loan. Right? That's one problem. So suppose I now take two people, one of whom didn't take a loan this year, and the other did. And I do the same exercise for them. And I say that the person who didn't take the loan went from 100 to 120. The person who did take a loan went from 100 to 150. And I take the difference. So I say that the person who got a loan increased their income by 30 more than the person who didn't get it. Would that be good enough?
No, because these people are intrinsically different, and you don't know if they would be following the same trend or a different trend otherwise.
Right. The big concern is that if I have decided today to take out a loan, I'm not like other people. I have some ambition. I'm trying to change my life. I'm doing something. Why would I think that my trend, my increase would be the same as somebody who has decided right now that, she is not willing to take on that project? Why would we be the same? Maybe I would have increased by more if I hadn't taken the micro loan. I have no idea what would have happened to me, given that I'm different from the people who I'm being compared to. So you need to compare like with like. Problem with comparing like with like is how do I, people who take loans are different from people who don't take loans. So you really need to create a situation where the same, essentially identical people took loans and didn't take loans. And that's why people do randomized controlled trials, is to look at exactly that question. Is it the case that people, if I randomly choose a set of people to get loans and another set of people to not get loans, do I see a difference in their outcome?